Take two. Hi, I'm Maria.
Hi.
And welcome to the... Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry, you saw that you haven't moved anything from there, eh? Is that in the middle?
The kids are MMT hard.
Any song that we play, you always do the decky. Could be any beat. It could be the Wiggles or Cocomelon. It could be any worship song. It could be a slow one or a fast one. But Izzy always... what happened in 2019. So that was obviously the hardest thing that we've both been through. But everyone left. And I can say probably one or two people, probably one person, stayed our mate and was loyal.
It's up to you to keep that fire burning.
Yeah.
That fire won't always burn. If you're not spending time with God, don't expect that fire to keep on burning.
Yeah, beautiful, because then it just shows that we need God, we need Jesus, we need Him constantly in our life. People only want God when they're in trouble or when they're struggling with something. But, we have to rejoice in His greatness. And the reason why these good things happen is because of Him, because of nothing else. Anyways, you're lucky we're recording this because you can keep these compliments. You can watch these when you...
I'm going to watch it.
When you're feeling bad, you're like, I'm recording jokes. Hi, I'm Maria.
And I'm Izzy.
And welcome to the Izzy and Maria Show. We are a faith-based podcast where we talk about all things Jesus, spirituality, a bit of sport, and just life in general. Today, we are filming our very first episode of this. This is quite exciting for you and I.
How exciting is this, babe? We've been talking about this for the last year or so. And I spoke to you late last season. I felt like God put in my heart to want to go out there and talk, and we feel like the podcast form is the best form for us, but in a more relaxed conversational way, I believe. So it's a good way to share our faith, and like you said in the intro, talk about our sporting experiences, and we've been blessed to be able to play sport for majority of our life. So we're excited to talk about this and launch this as our first episode. So I can't wait to get into it. Yeah,
same. I mean, this has been a long time coming. We arrived back in Brisbane from Japan in about June.
Yeah.
Was it June or May? And it was something that was really burning inside your heart to want to do this because, we haven't been out on socials for quite some time for, I guess, obvious reasons. But, here we are. First episode, let's do it.
Yeah. Also, why don't we tell the viewers what we've been up to the last 3 to 4 years? Yeah. Okay. So we've done a fair bit. We've done a fair bit of traveling too. So after we settled, after the whole 2019 thing, we settled on a Wednesday, and we found out that I was pregnant on the Friday. Which is crazy because I don't know how anyone can get pregnant during such a stressful time. But we did, and it was unexpected, and it was God sent, and it was a huge blessing for us. So we got a contract to play for the Catalan Dragons in Perpignan in the south of France. And I don't know if any of you have ever been to the south of France, but it's such a beautiful place. It was, it's a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Beautiful spot. And I think the timing was great, considering what we had gone through to be able to go overseas and then just play footy again and then just spend that time together as a family. It was perfect because we were having our first child as well. So, that was... God's timing is always perfect. Yeah, that's right. It always is. And then we, that was during COVID, so it was lockdown. I forgot about that. Lockdown, and then we, had our firstborn in France.
And then we came home. So we had re-signed with Cadlands, and we re-signed for another year, a year or two. It was just a year. It was just a year, yeah. But then my mother had a stroke, so we obviously couldn't go back to France, and we stayed. Yeah, we stayed in Australia for family purposes and to be around her because, she was almost on her deathbed.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, that was a tough time.
Yeah, actually. It was a really tough time. And so during that year, we were kind of in limbo then.
Yep, we'll back at square one, I'd say. But thankfully, Clive Palmer, who...
Oh, that's right, Uncle Clive.
Thank you to Uncle Clive.
Uncle Clive,
he ended up stepping in, who was one of the, I guess, sponsors for the Southport Tigers, which is a domestic competition down in Gold Coast. And they play in A grade level, which is, it goes NRL, Queensland Cup, and then A grade. So he was sponsoring that team, and he reached out to us and asked if we wanted to have a run and play. And that was actually a great opportunity because I got to play with my two younger brothers.
Yeah, and I remember you saying a long time ago that was one of the things, if there was ever an opportunity to achieve that, that was one of the bucket list things higher than playing for the Wallabies, for winning a World Cup or anything, was to play with your two younger brothers, Andy and John, which was cool to watch.
Yeah, that was pretty special, you know. We always, obviously as young kids, we used to play footy around in the backyard and muck around and that, but to do it at that level together was something special. We almost done it during my stint at the Waratahs, which both of them were there at two separate times, but unfortunately that didn't come about. So it was actually great to get the opportunity to play alongside them at Southport, and we did that for one season.
Yeah,
and then we were lucky enough to really get a contract to come over here to Japan.
Yeah, that's right. And then we fell pregnant again. So I pretty much just have babies overseas. Our second born was, she was born here in Japan. So, we're so blessed to be here. We've been here this is our fourth.
This is the start of our fourth season.
Start of the fourth season. So it's...
we've done some stuff over the years, haven't we?
Just even talking about it is... Because we don't really talk about this stuff. So... it's been a journey. It's been it's come about quite quickly, but we're very blessed and that we're thankful that we're healthy, we've got a roof over our head, and that we're actually doing this podcast because I feel like for so long we've been away from socials, and here and there we post once in a blue moon, but what better way to share God's word and proclaim and elevate him other than doing it this way?
One of the things we spoke about, or we've been talking about since wanting to launch this first episode, was just how we've been going spiritually within our own walks, and how that looked the last couple of years. Yeah. We've spoken a lot about that, and we learned so much. And I put out a video on one of my stories when we were back home, and that would be a couple of months back now. But I spoke about being lukewarm. Yeah. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that and how we felt during that season, because it wasn't a good feeling being in that rut, or in that season of our walk. So do you want to go into how you felt personally?
Look, it was, I guess the last few years, especially for me, I'm talking on my behalf, is definitely like when you posted that post, when you said, I've just come out of a lukewarm season, that was 1,000% true, because as from what we went through in 2019, people have this persona, or they think, oh wow, these guys are just strong Christians. They've gone through so much, and they're just carrying on doing their thing. And honestly, it's been far from that for me, which is really hard to admit. But if I'm God knows my heart. He can see it. And so I can't, whatever I say here on this podcast, I could tell a whole bunch of lies, but God can see and knows exactly what I've been through. But I haven't been as loyal to God as I should have been. I've always known that Jesus has been there, always. But in terms of my obedience and my walk and my honesty with Him, I haven't, and that's purely because, I guess. Oh man, you could say that motherhood is really hard, and we live in a foreign country. I don't speak the language. Trying to navigate our lives here, just the two of us is a real challenge, but also make the kids really comfortable as well, because they live two separate lives. One obviously in Australia and here in Japan. But I've just done things. How do I say this?
Our own way.
Yeah, we've just done things our own way, and I've never felt content. I've never felt at peace. And I just know within my heart, like, I haven't been true to God the way that I should have been. And I guess this is another reason why we wanted to do this, was because we wanted to get back on the wagon and really show others that, the Christian walk is not easy. I feel like when you become a Christian, the struggle becomes, it's a lot harder. Come. Absolutely, and especially in the world that we live in as well. But here we are. Here I am admitting that. I just can't wait to move forward from this. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you really opened up about it, because like you said, it shows how challenging the walk is. As a Christian, we are faced with a spiritual battle, and we're constantly, it's the spirit and the flesh, they're always going against each other. But we... like you admitted earlier, we were in that lukewarm season. It reminds you of a passage where it says that a righteous man falls 7 times and then he gets back up eight times. So it's our salvation is short. It's because of what Christ has done for us. But there's challenges that we face when we continue to walk with Him, and that was a season that wasn't really it wasn't good for us, and we learnt so much. And so I guess that time when we went back home during the off-season, being around, God brought us together to meet some really good people, and being around a good community of believers and spirit-led people is what lit the fire. And I think that's very important, because for a Christian out there, if you find yourself in a season of your walk, being lukewarm, you might think, what are the steps to get out of that? What I would say is be around a community or a church that is spirit-led, that is led by teaching good doctrine based on the Bible, and that you're constantly getting spiritually fed, and then also being intentional with your time with God, and that's through reading of the Word, prayer, and just worship and wanting to be in the presence of God. So I would say those are the important things, and just submitting to God and what His will is instead of ours. And so what I would say is when we were walking and on fire with God, there were certain convictions that the Spirit would convict you of. You shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. And when you fall into that lukewarm where you're sitting on the fence, you start to get comfortable. Like, you start to get comfortable with the things that once convicted you.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that's when we know that you're sort of getting comfortable with that sin where you were once convicted by. It's not a good position to be in. So we always got to be careful and to really check and see where our walks are, and not only that, God can really burn those things up. If you cry out to God, He can burn those things up and cause that fire to lit within your heart again. But it's up to you to keep that fire burning.
Yeah.
It's that fire won't always burn. If you're not spending time with God, don't expect that fire to keep on burning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, in terms of that fire burning, and you saying being intentional, I feel like it's your personal relationship with God as well. And for me, that's really helped in my walk to really be in it with Him. In terms of just reading the Word, meditating over it, listening to worship music, worshiping in itself has really brought me closer to God. I feel like your relationship with God is really important, because if that isn't the primary thing in your day, how are you expected to have that intimacy with God, and how are you expected for God to work intimately within you as well? I just feel like that's been a huge part of my walk in terms of trying to grow spiritually, and also just trying to be a light out there to the people out there in the public.
Yeah, nice, babe. Just one thing I was thinking about as you were talking, just for the viewers, if you're in that season like of lukewarm, and then you just come out of that, I believe the enemy always wants to play this in your mind, and those that are close to us, like friends and family, when you've stepped out of that and you just want to go all out for God, and you start sharing, and you start wanting to do things that are that'll help build that kingdom, the thoughts will pop in your mind and be like, oh, friends that are close to you, and think, oh, well, wasn't he doing so and so?
Well, that was one of the things.
Wasn't he so and so doing
exactly
that? But I just wanted to encourage people: don't, if you are a Christian and you've come out of that, don't listen to the enemy and those thoughts, because he wants you to dwell on the things that you did in the past, so that you don't move forward. Yeah. So forget about that. Like just focus on what's pleasing to God, and walking with Him daily. Like that's the most important thing, because those things can hold you back, and I believe the enemy is using that spirit of fear to really hold a lot of people back into stepping into what God has called them to do. So God didn't give us a spirit of fear, as the Bible says. He's given us power, a spirit of power, love, and sound mind. So that for us is what we should step into and walk with, and not think about what we've done in the past, because if we do, we're not moving forward.
No, absolutely not. And look, this is such a great chat, because it just shows that no Christian is perfect. The only perfectness there is Jesus Christ, is God. So in order for us to really grow spiritually, and to just to move forward in this walk, is just to be honest. And I feel like a lot of people will relate to that, and it's not an easy thing to do, like what we're doing here, but I think it's beautiful, because then it just shows that we need God, we need Jesus, we need Him constantly in our life, for our source to be to whomever he's the one that we go to with everything, any struggles or even the good times as well. I find that people only want God when they're in trouble or when they're struggling with something, but we have to rejoice in His greatness, and the reason why these good things happen is because of Him, because of nothing else.
Oh, amen. I believe that for sure. It's something special about being vulnerable around your walk, because it shows people that the walk is real, and the challenges that we face. But like you said, there's no point of trying to put up a front or anything, because God can see everything. So there's we're not going to sit here and do that. We want to be as real as possible, and we hope that this resonates with people that come across this, because if you're experiencing that, you're not alone. You're not the only one.
Absolutely.
We're talking about this because we've experienced it as well. So, like what you said, babe, we need God daily, on a daily basis. The moment we start to lean and rely on our own strength and wisdom and that's a dangerous position to be in. So I think it's always a good check to see where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were, we put out a post about questions that if people wanted any questions that needed to be answered, and we were so overwhelmed with how many questions there were. I was actually really surprised. I didn't think that many people would send any, but thank you to everyone who sent in questions. Yeah. We're not able to answer all of them. I mean, there's for reals, if we were to answer all of them, we'd be here for 4 hours. That's how many questions there were, exactly, till next week. So, thank you again. We are going to answer some of them, though, and then the rest we'll answer via stories on our Izzy and Maria show Instagram platform. So, let's get into it. Okay.
Do you want me to read, or you read the first?
Yeah, I'll read the first few and then... Okay, first one was, what did you want to become when you were still in high school?
Yeah, good question. I definitely wanted to be a professional footy player. That's all. That's what I always wanted to do. And I always tell this story. You know this story because you know it. I tell it all the time.
Yeah, I think it's a great story.
Yeah, close family and friends. But when I was 15, we had a activity at church where my dad was the leader of the youth group. And the activity was you had to write down what you want to do after school and who your idols were. And so all the kids got up, shared what they had written down, and most of it was the same thing. It was, I want to go and serve a church mission and my idols were a certain church leader within that church, and it was all pretty much the same. And then got around to my turn, and I got up and said, I want to be a professional footy player. I want to play Origin for Queensland and play for Australia, and my idols were Darren Lockyer and Lottie Takiri.
Oh man, I can just picture your dad being upset about that.
You should have seen the ride home. He was, mate. I was going to get the biggest hiding ever. Well, one, he was embarrassed that his son got up and said his goals.
And being the youth leader, the leader of the group.
Yeah, being the leader of the youth group. He was upset that his son got up and shared what he shared, and it had nothing to do with church or God or anything like that. And so, he was embarrassed about that. But then I also shared that we used to have family meetings that we did every Mondays, and one of the topics we spoke about was talents, and utilizing that and making sure that we, what are our talents and how can we utilize that and achieve the goals that we want to achieve. Anyways, I shared that. I wrote down the same thing, and I shared it with all my whole family. And I remember my brothers they were laughing at me at the time because I was so specific with my goals. I was going to play NRL at 17, play for Queensland and play for Australia.
And how old were you?
I was 15 at the time.
So at 15, this is just crazy. At 15 years old, you thought in 2 years' time, I'm going to play in the NRL, the top rugby league competition in the whole entire world, and play what? Origin?
Play Origin and play for my country.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I actually don't know where that came from. I just knew at 15 when my older brother spoke to me and he was like, you can make this a living. Like you can play footy and make it as a living. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going all in. And since then, my old man used to take me and my younger brothers to the rugby field and used to make us run before school and after school. And so he built a habit of training. And so I got into it on my own eventually and started doing my own training and running. And I built that habit in the back of my mind. I just these things just come to me, and I don't know where it came from, but at the time, I had a vision of like, I'm gonna get there, and it was like no one could stop me from getting there. And
you could see it.
I could see it. It's like, it's weird to say right now, but I was 15 at the time, and I just was so sure about it that no one could ever stop me, and so that's why I was so specific with my goals. You know, I used to stick it up on the back of my door of my room, and I used to see it every day. I used to get up, and I just used to put it there.
To put it there. But I find that so.
Yeah, I think.
Did you play Origin that year?
No, I didn't. I played for Australia first before I played Origin.
Right. So at 17, you played for Storm.
I played for Storm, and then at 18, I made my debut for Australia.
Right.
And then 18, I
played Origin.
Origin.
Far out.
So I was.
Oh, look, now that I know you, it doesn't, like, that doesn't surprise me. But when I first heard the story, I was like, oh my gosh, at 15 years old, you knew in 2 years' time, 17. Like, how many other 17-year-olds debuted in the NRL? Would there have been many?
There's a handful. I don't know off the top of my head. There might have been. I know there's like Ben Eichen, Brad Fittler.
Right.
They might have been maybe a tad younger, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 16.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure about that. But anyway, they were young, but I don't know who else. But at that time, there wasn't
many. Yeah,
it wasn't common at all.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's common now. Are there 17-year-olds now that are playing in the NRL or debuting?
No, I don't think it's common now.
Yeah.
Either,
well,
there's a lot more younger guys.
You're one of a kind, aren't you?
There's a lot more younger guys coming through now. Anyway, so
okay.
You start to see that there's a lot of talent in the games.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was just. I don't know where it come from, but now I believe that it was something that God put in my heart. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And just seeing the way that our lives are panned out, and I know that God's had his hand on it and orchestrated the whole thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know it at the time, but...
Okay, well, my story's not as exciting as yours.
You've got a great story.
No, like so I knew that I wanted to be a silver fern. That was the only goal that I had ever. My father got me a goalpost from next door, and it had a tyre. What?
Did he steal the goalpost?
Gosh.
No,
are you mocking my dad? Hey?
No, he's good. My father was a good one. So.
Why didn't you say it to his face? Exactly.
Just a bit of a laugh.
Oh. No, because I know when you see him, you're like, oh, g'day, Sam. Can I make you a cappuccino? Yeah, next time tell him, hey.
I'll ask him actually if he stole it from next door.
Even if he did, look, my dad got a goalpost from next door, and it was a tyre filled with cement, and it had a pole, and he bought the goalpost from the warehouse or something. I mean, the hoop, attached it on, and that was pretty much my best friend. So I would shoot every day after school till the sun came down, and my mother used to always yell at me to get inside the house, come and shower and eat dinner and go to sleep. But I was just so obsessed with shooting long shots all night long. And so, yeah, from then on, went through the rankings. I debuted at 18, and I played professionally for 16 years. So I was always, silver fern was just always my goal.
What do you mean that's not exciting? That's 18 years old, man. Like, that's quite an achievement.
Yeah, it's an achievement, but
that wasn't common either back then, right?
No, I think there was Bernie Smith, or maybe a handful. Maybe a handful. I couldn't tell you, but yeah, same as you. We both debuted really young, but I wasn't so specific though, and I definitely didn't think at 15 that I was going to play for the Silver Ferns at 18. So like you did, 15 and 17. So
well, you got there, babe.
Yeah, we got there,
and 150 games, right? For Silver Ferns. How good's that is
how many did you think I had? I asked you, do you know how many caps I have? And you were like, 60?
I didn't even know how many caps I have anyway. But yeah, it's not an excuse. Now I know 150 games.
I retired.
That's a special club.
Yeah.
How many other girls got to achieve that?
I couldn't tell you that either. I know Laura Langman and Irene Van Dyke. I think there may be a couple of others, but maybe Casey. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, wow. Very, very blessed.
That is what an amazing career.
Yeah. Anyways,
that's
netball schmetball. It's finished. Okay, our next question is: did you both have strong faith before meeting each other, and then continue to build it together, or have you ever felt at different stages with your individual walks?
I would say no. No, we didn't.
Definitely not.
We both didn't have a strong faith. I can only speak on my own journey. I first had that encounter with God in 2011, and I had gone through so much before that to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that's where God he really changed my heart, really, and He's started to move and work on my life. And since then, it's been a journey up until now. But definitely when I met you, babe, in 2015, it was. Yeah, that was a journey as well, walking together. I was obviously at a different part of my walk, and you were as well.
Yeah, we were. We were both. We were both really. I feel like we were really far apart in terms of. I was still newly coming to the Lord. I was still really undecided, to be honest. But yeah, you were just on that journey of really seeking Him. So yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, and then so it hasn't always been strong, but now, we're doing that together and we're walking together, and it's a great journey. I always think there's something special around serving God as a couple. There's something so powerful about that, and just God leading us to do that, I've seen God move in our marriage and our personal lives, and you're just in awe of what He's done and what He's continuing to do, and I believe that this is just the start of what we've just stepped into, that He's starting to do that for us.
Yeah, I agree. Same as Izzy. Like I was, still really undecided. And then I think the pinnacle for me was just the life that I was living. I just felt so empty. And it was like a void that needed to be filled, and I tried many different avenues, and I guess it wasn't being fulfilled. And like I grew up in church, went to church every Sunday, but I pretty much went just to please my parents. I'd go to church hung, nightclubs on a Saturday night, and then straight to church Sunday morning, and it just became just a horrible cycle. And we met. I could just see this beautiful light come out of you, and I could see that you were obviously you were seeking the Lord, but you were just. One thing that people ask me is, what is Izzy like? And I always say that you're really humble. And hey, you know me, I don't compliment you a lot, but you're really humble and you're quite graceful, but also you, for someone who has such a big name, you don't pump yourself up a lot. And I love that. Like, I love that you don't you walk the talk. So you don't just talk it up, and you don't do that. Two, you walk the way that you are, and it's not fake or anything. It's just the type of person that you are. And even talking to your family, they say the same thing as well. Also, that you're a 12-year-old kid at heart.
So
which many people don't see. He's only like that at home or around people that he trusts. But I saw that, thanks, and it was just consistent. And I thought, man, maybe like God is real. Maybe it is. I should just try it out. Anyways, I decided to get baptized in 2017. And then since then, it's been a gradual journey. I can honestly say that I haven't been loyal to God since 2017, and I haven't lived a Christ-like life, but I definitely know that my Lord and Saviour is Jesus Christ, and I lean on Him through everything, and I truly, truly, truly do believe that. So, here we are.
Oh wow! No, thanks for that compliment, babe. I appreciate that. That's so. I really do
Isn't
appreciate.
It so mean? I don't compliment. No, you know what I mean. I know, we joke around a lot, and
but I appreciate that. Can I just say one thing, because it reminded me of something when you just were talking. If for any viewers out there, if you're a Christian and your other half is like maybe coming to the Lord or is not a believer yet. I remember at the time when I was early on, Marie and I were dating, I would pray and ask God that that if you want me to be with Maria, I know that we need to serve together one day. So it's just, don't be the person to try and change your other half, because you have no power over that. When God does the changing, it's transformational. It's real, because God is the only one that can do that from the heart, from the inside out. And so that's, I guess, my piece of advice is continue to pray for your other half and believe that God will bring them around, and don't try and you don't. The other thing is you don't have the power to change your other half either. So just trust in God's timing, trust in the power of God that He can do that. Because if you're supposed to be with that person and you're serving the Lord, you'll do it together. God will cause you guys to do it together, and that's what I've experienced with Marie and I. And so it hasn't always been like that, because it was a bit of a test of faith and challenge. But again, we need to rely on the Lord and not on our own wisdom and strength.
Yeah. And look, I also want to say is that you never ever forced it on me. Like you were just walking the talk, and I it's funny because when I know a lot of my friends think, oh, Maria's different because of Izzy, like it's his fault that she's not the party goer like she used to be, or she's not at the clubs, or doing all that sort of stuff. But it's never been about you. It's been about God working through you to get to me, and I do believe that. I do believe that I was chosen by God to come to Him, but He just used you to get to me. So I'm so blessed that you. I'm just so thankful that you are who you are, and that you love God to the nth degree, like you love Him with everything. And I think that's such a beautiful thing when you understand God's love and you see it. Especially I see it in you. I'm just so blessed that I have a husband who loves Jesus the way you do.
Oh, thanks, babe.
Anyways,
we're doing it together.
You're lucky we're recording this, because you can keep these compliments. You can watch these when you.
I'm going to watch it.
Well, you're feeling bad. You were like, "Oh, Maria, come down." Jokes. Okay, so the next one is, what are some hallmark values that you find in the people you lean on as friends? How have you stayed vulnerable with them?
One of the good traits I find in the people that are close to us is trust. Having the ability to trust them and going both ways. And also just being, what's the word, authentic, or just being real around, being able to be yourself around them. Because being an athlete, we've come across so many people that claim to want to be your friends, but they just really, they wanted something off you. So it's always transactional.
Oh, look, to be this kind of depicts everything is what happened in 2019. So that was obviously the hardest thing that we've both been through, but everyone left, and I can say probably one or two people, probably one person, stayed our mate and was loyal and checked up on us, didn't care about what we believed in, didn't care about who we were, has never cared about who we are as athletes and the profile. But I feel like through that, God just moved everyone away that wasn't important. And I feel like that's a really great thing because it just shows where our time it needs to go to the people that who really do genuinely care about us. So friends who are with you through thick and thin, through everything, and who stay are the ones that you know that you can lean on.
Yeah. No, that's a good point to bring up, because sometimes when you do lose friends and you go through those times, you get upset, and you might have had a relationship with that person for so long and you lose them for whatever reason. But I guess in our case, and what happened in 2019, God really filtered out the people that were not supposed to be in our life. And it was, it was hurtful at the time, because you're like, oh, we were so close to so-and-so, but...
we were so cut. Like, I was cut. I had loads of... It wasn't about having lots of friends, but I genuinely, gave time to these people who I thought were my genuine friends, and then obviously that had happened. I didn't hear from them at all. At the time, I was cut. Right now, I'm, so thankful that, and it's funny because even now... a lot of them contact to see how I am, and I just send them love and light and just love them from afar.
It's I think I mean it's difficult at the time, but I think God really uses that to scale back and scale back our time and what's important, like you said. So those are the two, I guess, traits or hallmarks that I find in people, that is trust and just being able to be yourself. So being authentic and being real. Yeah. Those are the two things.
Yeah. And the Christian walk, you do lose your close ones too. So that's all part of it.
It's part of the walk, I think. Yeah. It's for the Christians out there that have experienced some sort of persecution in your walk, you would have lost family or friends when you're walking with God. But it's part of it, and it's supposed to make us draw on God a lot more. So you guys aren't alone. And,
no.
Don't think that you guys are the only ones, the only believers in the world that are going through it. There's many other people, I'm sure.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So the next one is, how did you both find courage not to care about what others thought about your post?
I always found courage in the Word of God. That's what I always relied on. And I'm not going to lie, I saw the comments and articles and news, things that were spoken about us, written about us in 2019. And I'm not going to lie, it was hurtful. But then in those moments, I would draw back onto the Word, and I would look at the example that Jesus gave us and the life that he lived, was that he went through so much more. Yeah. Like what we went through in 2019
was nothing.
It doesn't even scrape the surface for what Jesus done. So I'm not even going to compare it, because to me that's disrespectful to compare that to our God. But to look to Jesus as an example, being persecuted, being ridiculed, they said all false accusations against him, all these things, and he led right up to the point of being at the cross, and the last thing he says before he dies is that, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And so it shows you the heart of God for these people. And so I drew strength from that, and when I looked at those comments or things that were said about us that weren't nice, I never took it personal, because I know it's the spirit behind that person that's talking or writing those things. It's the spirit of the enemy. And so, I try and look at those people with compassion and with grace, in the way that Jesus would look at everyone else. Yeah. And that's what gave me strength during those times of weakness.
Yeah, and I think it's important, we should actually post up some of these comments. But they're pretty brutal and ruthless. That saying, I would never wish this upon my worst enemy. I would never, ever, ever write these things to my worst enemy. like I don't have any. But yeah, you genuinely do have to think like that, because they genuinely just do not know. Like if they knew Jesus the way, we do, then I know in their hearts that they would never write things like that. But we just have to keep praying for them, and just hope that they're okay. But also, it got to a point, like we've come to a point where, why do we care about the opinions of people who are flawed? And that's with everyone.
So
everyone is flawed. No one here on earth is perfect. Like I don't serve her or him who's written those comments. I serve God. God is perfect. God is the one that I want to impress. God is the one that living for. So I only care about him. I don't care about what you think about me or about you, because ultimately I serve God, not you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just read yesterday, and Matthew talks about, blessed are those that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And so it's a great blessing to be persecuted for righteousness' sake, and that's carrying the name of Christ and representing him. And what the Bible says, that we're ambassadors of Christ. So if you're being persecuted for that very purpose, then it should be a joy to look at it that way, because it gives you peace around the situation that you might find yourself in. So,
which is crazy, because many people, especially unbelievers, are not going to understand that at all.
No, they're not.
Because they're going to think, oh, wow, you're just crazy.
I might sound crazy, but the
you
word
are
of
crazy.
God, the Bible, is well and truly alive, like what it says.
Yeah.
It's like a double-edged sword that pierces down to the soul. And it knows and discerns the intentions of our hearts. So it's true. It does sound crazy, but it gives me so much joy to just rely on the most reliable thing that you can ever put your trust in, which is God, which is the Word, and that's God Himself.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Okay. Next one, unseen and unheard efforts that go into being professional sports people.
Do you want to start?
Okay, so unseen. For me, the heckling, the hearing your families say bad names. Here, I'll give you that. Bad names about you. It's, the way that you perform, it affects your home life. It affects your parents. I know it affected my parents. I know, not to the point where they would go home and cry, but it's hard hearing those things. Like they know you as a person, they know you genuinely. So to hear these bad names being called, or if you've played a really bad game, or a bad article that's been written on social media or whatever. For me, I had to make my parents really feel positive about the situation, and that it was okay, and that it's part of me performing bad, and it's got nothing to do with you. And I guess it's those things that really hurt your heart, because you go out there to perform at the highest level, and sometimes that just doesn't happen. But then again, people have to be wary of that, like what you say. I mean, we've dealt with it with social media as well, that it really does hurt your close loved ones. So I don't really know if that really answers the question.
No, it does, because you're right. They do ride the highs and lows with you, and they're so passionate about the way you are, the way you play in that. But the other thing as well is just the things that the fans don't see, which is diet, good food, recovery, like whether it's extra stretching, ice baths, like all that sort of stuff is the unseen efforts that people don't see. So
and like that stuff you take for granted, like when you're young and you first make it in the top league, you don't do ice baths, you don't do any of the stretching recovery stuff, because your body feels great. You're young, you've just come in, but knowing that later on in your career, if you don't do these things early, it's going to bite you back in the bum. So I think, that's definitely how you and I have experienced it.
Yeah, totally. And also just, you know, the work that was put in years before you even get to the professional level, like the hard work that was put into that time. The early mornings, the late nights, you know, it's all that sacrifice that you have to make. And I don't know about you, but you would have missed out on a lot of family events or things that that you probably should have went to. But it was because of training or competition that you had to go to.
Yeah.
And so those are the things. But in the end, it's always worth it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, those are the unseen efforts.
Yeah.
The next question is just for you. I'm a newly mum and struggling with balance. What are some tips or encouragement for someone struggling to balance life and motherhood? And this person also said, you're smashing motherhood. You are. As our kids say, great job, Mum.
Great job, Mum. That's what our son always says. Great job. This is a hard question. I always find that, the mother question's hard because I can only talk about my own experience. And so, and I know, now that we've got our kids, I will never judge another parent ever again. You know, I thought that I would be this type of mother growing up, and I'm totally, totally not. You just go with the flow. Every day is different. You don't know what your kids are going to be like. But yeah, so in terms of what was the question? Balance.
Tips or encouragement for someone struggling to balance life and being a mum. Yeah.
Oh gosh. See, for me, I just draw upon the Lord. That's my safe place. That's my place where I go to through everything, but especially when my kids aren't listening, when my kids aren't eating, when I haven't slept, when I haven't trained, I haven't been in the Word. I always draw upon the Lord's word. So, scriptures like 2 Corinthians, Father of mercies, and God of all comfort. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Hebrews, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. Like those things that really I draw upon for me to be able to get through whatever tough situation that I'm in. And being here in Japan, it's really hard. Like I said before, we don't speak the language and we go through a lot of obstacles here. But in terms of that, I don't know whether this person is a believer, but that's my safe space, and that's the place that I go to that gives me peace, that gives me patience, and that just lets me know that everything's okay and I'm going to get through it.
Yeah. And when you do that, spend that time with God, it helps everything else.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It does help with everything. It changes my whole mood.
It brings good balance, right?
Yeah, it does. It does bring a lot of balance. Yeah, sorry, that was one of the questions as well. But also what's really important is having a really, really close-knit, safe community as well. Like we were really blessed in France when we had our firstborn. Like you and I had no idea what we were doing. Our firstborn was born, and I'm so thankful that we had my brother and his wife there, and Augie, my handsome nephew, who were just workhorses and just showed so much love, cooked for us, helped us out because, what to do as parents. And it was lockdown as well, so we didn't have all the resources that we needed, but we had their love and their genuineness too. But, they were huge. Also, Sam and Gillian Moore.
The Meads.
And the Meads, Tennille, David Mead. We had Asa. And Sami Sonilangi. Those were the people that I was really, really close to back then that, just really helped me, checked up to see if I was okay, dropped off food. They gave us a lot of baby stuff. I was just so thankful that they were so gifting in their hearts to be able to help us out as parents.
Yeah, so having a good community. Good community. Very important.
Absolutely.
Nice, man. Next question. When the world was against you, did you ever feel like giving in, considering the pressure the media dragged you through?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said this story, I said this story in the Church Girl podcast, but I was playing for the Adelaide Thunderbirds and I was going to a cafe and I parked down the street. As a street, there was no, it was a long street. It was like, it was a long street. Had no left or right turn, so it was just a street and it just had, they're like industrial buildings there. Anyways, I just was feeling so low in the car. I'd turn on the radio, Izzy Folau, Maria Folau, social media, bigots, homophobe, horrible people, all of that. I was, I just came back from training and I felt just low. I felt like I was burdening the club with all this media pressure. And so, I just was sitting in the car and I was thinking, man, I'm so done. Like, I'm done with the situation. Lord, just please stop it. Like, I don't know if I can take this any longer. Anyways, I walked out of the car. I was going to Peter Rabbit because I felt like hot chips and they make the best hot chips there. Great food. And so as I was walking, there was this old man that stopped me and he was a UK guy who had a Pommy accent and he stopped me and he said, "You need to bask in God's love." And I've never ever met this guy. Anyways, I never say this, but I said to him, "Do you know who I am or do you know who my husband is?" He said, "No, who is he?" I said, "Izzy Folau?" And he goes, "No, I've never even heard of him." I know. And I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I'm going to the hospital." The hospital was that way. He was walking that way. And that's all he said. And then he walked off. And I was thinking, what the heck? This guy doesn't know who I am. Why would he say this? I turned around after about 10 steps and we were like further on the start of the street. So he had like another 50, 60 steps to go to get to the end of the street. I turned around and he was gone. And God sends angels in human form. And I truly do believe God could see that I was really struggling in the car on that day. And I spoke to him and said, "I just can't do this anymore." And he sent that man to show me and to tell me that everything's going to be okay, that you need to bask in my love. I chose you to go through this with this man. You will stand beside him and I will be with you both and you'll get through it together.
Wow.
Yeah. And I called you.
I remember you calling me.
And I was shivering. I was like, you never believe what just happened. Yeah, and you were blown away. It was just one of those, crazy moments.
Yeah, I always find that story amazing. That God knows our hearts and what we're struggling with and what we're going through before we even go through that. So it shows you that God cares and he knows everything that happens in our life.
Yeah. Sorry, here we go. Would love to hear more about the backstories we don't hear about corruption in sport and in media, dealing with that. I will just say, actually, we've been told by someone who actually works in that media company, and I won't say who, but we were told by this person that that his boss told him that there is to be no positive articles to be read about. Written about you, which is really obvious, which is, we already know, and we're used to. But in terms of, corruption, that I would say, because, when I first heard about it, I was like, well,
it doesn't surprise you.
No, it doesn't. But it's like, man, it's it's just never ending. It never stops. But in terms of that, that's kind of all I know in terms of I can't speak on behalf of the media, and this isn't every media outlet. But we've been told firsthand, and that you and I have been blacklisted. So I guess it's just all part of it. Politics.
I don't know much about politics either, but there's always some sort of politics involved in, I would say, anything like sports or business or whatever it is, and it's obviously not good. But I seen, as I was coming through as a young kid, you'd see a lot of players that were talented and would always miss out on making certain rep teams because other kids will be in front of them because their parents are connected somehow through like business, or they're on the board of the of so and so. So I saw a little bit of politics around that. There's a lot of that, I would say, in the professional environment too, but to what extent I don't know. But yeah, it's not nice. You always just want a clean slate, being fair, but sadly that's not the way the world is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, last two questions for you. What was the hardest part of the whole rugby sacking? And for me, when did I know it was time to retire?
So the hardest part about the whole 2019 saga was obviously a test of my faith and how that caused me to rely on God every step of the way. But besides that, was the challenge was just seeing what you went through, what my wife went through, and what those that were close to us went through. And so I wished at that time, because you were still playing, babe, and that I could take away the burden and pressure that you were going through, and I would take that on, not only you but all of our family as well, and people that were close to us that were feeling it.
Yeah.
That was probably the hardest thing, because I knew what was going on inside of me. It was challenging, but I could always carry that. I'm just the type of person I am, I think, and I just wanted to take that all away from you and those that were close to us, particularly you, because you were, it was such a big year with the World Cup coming up, and I could feel that, and I just wanted to take away. So that was probably the most challenging thing for me.
Yeah, a story I'll enter that. I remember when we were playing the Swifts, and it was our last game before we were going to the World Cup, and it was Adelaide. It was Adelaide against the Swifts, and it was right in the midst of what was happening, and it was a draw. The ball was in my hands. The shot was like a meter away from the goalpost, and I never missed that shot, and I missed it. So we finished it on a draw, which was really, really upsetting for me, because that was a moment that I wanted to prove to people that I wasn't going to fail, that I can withstand all of this, and that I can still perform at the highest level, because I played an all right game. I was quite... I was okay with how I performed. I'm a perfectionist. So I was okay with that. But it was just that last shot that really, it ripped my undies big time. And because every time I had to perform, I already felt like everyone wanted to see me fail. Any missed shot, any obstruction, any step, any drop ball, that is what the headlines was going to be. And so when I came home after that game, you were in our apartment in Adelaide, and I think you had just Uber Eats the bucket of KFC, and I was so angry at you, and I blamed you. I took it out on you. I was like, man, you can hide in these four walls. I've still got to perform week in, week out in front of thousands of people. I already drive to the game already feeling like, oh man, everybody they just want to see me fail. They want to see me miss. And the fact that I missed that goal, I came and I took it out on you, and I was like, mate, could you have not done this at a different time? I've got a World Cup to play as well. So yeah, those are the things that we would, those are the conversations that we had, and I mean, we look back now and we laugh about it, but wasn't ha-ha at the time. No. Okay, last question before we wrap this up. Here we go. How's the house unity when Samoa and Tonga verse each other?
Oh, it's split in half.
Oh, mate, there's no 70-30, there's no 60-40. We are 50-50 big time. Wow.
But majority of the house is red and white, so...
Oh my gosh.
The kids are MMT hard. So
oh mate. Izzy wears his Tonga shorts to bed, and I'm like, bro, those are gonna make our sheets moldy take them off.
Oh, wow.
No, and oh man, it's annoying because like any song that we play, you always do the decky, right? Like any song, it could be any beat, it could be the Wiggles or Cocomelon, it could be any worship song, it could be a slow one or a fast one, but Izzy always finds a way just to do. Do you want to show them what a decky is?
Play a Cocomelon song.
Oh man, this guy's MMT hard, but yeah, I no, there's no he doesn't transfer over to the blue and red, and I don't transfer over to the red and white.
It's good banter, but although
it's banter, but it gets serious.
Although I found out recently that I have a bit of Samoan blood in my line. So, but anyways, that's for
now we're related. No, anyways, that's gross. People didn't need to know that, but yeah, it's pretty hard out. Yeah. That's just how it is in our household. So
it's a good laugh. It's good fun.
Yeah, it is good fun. Anyways, thank you so much for being here with us. It's been a journey. We finally pressed record, and we're sitting here and we're doing it, and we hope you enjoyed this first episode. Many more to come.